Hi, we're talking about block printing. And what we're talking about here is how to get your image onto a block. Once you have your image on the block, you can then carve it out. So we're talking about soft carve, lino, wood blocks, anything you're looking at carving out. We're going to talk now about how to put your image on there in the various different ways you can. So I'm going to start with a sketch that I did a while ago. Was actually from this location in Sydney, and I've taken my quick sketch there and photocopied it a few times to show the various ways that we can get our design onto the block. So the first way is pretty obvious. Just taking a graphite pencil, a marking pen, you could use ink, you could actually use a lot of things, and literally draw directly onto the block, just sketching freehand. So the second method is to transfer the image. So our photocopied image here is we just transfer it by either putting graphite on the back, which I'll do in a second, or alternatively an easier way is to actually apply the Derivan liquid pencil onto the back, leave it to dry, and then the same as if I'd taken just graphite pencil and gone over the whole work. And then as I press down with my pencil or pen, the image will remain behind. That will give us a good outline to follow. So as you're doing this, a couple of little pointers. We've actually photocopied the sketch in red, just on the photocopier, just a setting on the photocopier. So that way, when I lay this down, and on larger pieces, or if you're going to come back, you might want to sticky tape the edges down or adhere it in some way, just so it doesn't move around on you. But as I was saying, because we're in red ink here with the photocopy, as I go over the area, pushing nice and firmly, I can see where I have already drawn, and it just makes it a little easier. And it's just a quick change on the photocopier. So as I say, we've used liquid pencil here. You could use graphite, you could use carbon paper. There's a whole lot of ways to transfer. This is a pretty standard way of transferring an image. Another way to get your image onto your block is using a method called photo image transfer. So what we're going to do here is use a medium to basically adhere the image or the piece of paper and the ink from the photocopier onto the piece of paper, and then rub the paper off, wet the paper and rub it off. Using polymer gloss varnish, a little bit on where you don't need too much. It's really just over the areas that contain the image. We just want to line this up, and we'll talk about registration in a later video. We want to get the air bubbles out wherever we can. And we will leave that to dry for about 24 hours and then come back and wash the paper off the back, and we'll be left with the image and we can start carving. So the final way of getting an image onto your block is actually using another block. Now the reason you want to do that is to do multicolour prints. They require multiple blocks, but multiple blocks that start life identically, and then you carve out various different areas. So what I mean is this. I've got my print here. This is the basic print that you see here. I now want the background here to be blue, up in the trees to be green, and down each side the sandstone walls to be sandstone colour. Simple. I need 3 more blocks. So the way I transfer that image is I take my original block, I ink it up, I then print it onto a second block, and while that's still wet, I go to a third block, press it down, print just like I normally would with paper, and then I have the image the correct way round. Voila, an identical print to our first block. And you do that as many times as you need colours. But as I say, that's another way to get an image onto your block. So that's how easy it is to get your image onto the block. Don't forget to have a look down in the description for more information, and it's time for you to have a go.